Hey everybody, welcome to the Morning Devo with Bo. Hope you guys are doing good today, September 15th and a Friday, so pretty cool. The weekend's here already, and today we're going to go through Psalm 28 through 29. So we'll go through two Psalms, and then we'll go into the weekend, and then we'll start 30. That'll be easy to remember, Psalm 30 next week, which will be cool. Lord willing, right? We make it there. So my name's Bo Willett. You could always check out the archives of the devotions at my YouTube channel at Bo Willett. My name's right over there, right there. And that's how it's spelled anyway, the last name, a lot of vowels. But if you want to, kind of go through the Bible in a more devotion style and kind of pull out some stuff, I kind of do these usually every morning. Today I'm in at 8:06, so I am in a little early, I must say. A little earlier than normal. And I've been kind of doing that 9 o'clock, but, today's a little different. We got in a little early, which is cool, and it looks like Tina's already in, which is awesome, and Paula's in, so that's great. So it looks like it's at least you guys are in, so that's kind of cool. And hopefully you guys are ready to go. So I am 28. So let's read this, and let me read what it says. A Psalm of David. So a lot of these Psalms, as we saw, are Psalms of David. And it says, I pray to you, O Lord, my rock, do not turn a deaf ear to me. For if you are silent, I might as well give up and die. Wow. Listen to my prayer for mercy as I cry out to you for help, as I lift my hands toward your holy sanctuary. Okay. So this is kind of neat, and this is maybe why so many people at church lift their hands up, right? It's kind of a cry out to God. Kind of, God, I need you. kind of thing. So don't, I used to freak out, by the way. Every time I'd see someone raise their hand, I'd be like, what's that about, But I get it. So many times I do, and a lot of times we find ourselves in so much need, right? And so, in a sense, undone because of, maybe what we've done or what we do, or just really bathing in the perfection of God, which really shows our imperfections. Whatever it is, sometimes it's happiness when we're just worshiping the Lord and we raise our hands, right? In a heart of gratitude or thanksgiving. But here, this song is definitely a cry out for help. Notice what it says. Don't turn a deaf ear towards me. Listen to me, God. Don't turn away from me. Oh, you get the feeling David's done something again. Did something that he goes, oh, man, the Lord's, I don't know if he's going to hear me anymore. Have you ever felt like that? Like the Lord's just not going to hear you anymore. People might not hear you anymore. And you wonder kind of, is God not going to hear me anymore either? You don't sense a real confidence in David like you did in some of the other Psalms that we read, right? Where you kind of sense this kind of amazing confidence that David had. The Lord, you are the King of glory. You're awesome. You're jamming. Gosh, I've been blameless. I've done everything. You get to this Psalm and you're like, boom, man, I just got knocked down a peg. For if you are silent, I might as well give up and die. Don't turn away from me. All the things that are going on in my life. Listen to my prayer for mercy. Again, a prayer for mercy. A mercy, again, is it's what you do deserve, you're not going to get. What you do deserve. So obviously David feels like he deserves punishment, but yet he's begging for mercy. Wow. So again, not this confident, I'm jamming, everything's great, you're gonna destroy my enemies kind of vibe. We really can bring our burdened hearts, our sinful inclinations to God. Father, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Do not drag me away with the wicked, with those who do evil. Man, don't bring me to hell like you're bringing them to hell, kind of idea, right? Wow. Those who speak friendly words to their neighbors while planning evil in their hearts. Is that something that's in my life where I speak nice to someone and then behind their back, I'm like bagging on them? And this has hit me a lot, is like, how many times does that happen in believers' lives? Right? Where it's like you talk to someone and you're very friendly with them, but then when you're away with them and someone talks to you about that person maybe in a bad manner, and you take it, you listen to it, instead of saying, hey, no, we're to speak edification in love. We're to build one another up. No, tear down. We got to speak words of faith, trusting God. Hey, do you trust God? Well, if you trust God, let's trust God. If you think God needs to judge, well, we'll trust God to judge people. How about that? But instead we can be just like this, right? We can be someone who speaks friendly words to their neighbor while planning evil in their hearts, waiting for that time to really put them down. I don't want to be a person who's talking about other people. If I'm going to talk about other people, it's best to do what David's doing. Talk to God about other people. That's the best. In your private place. In a place, your closet, Jesus says. Go into your closet. Right? Go into that private place. But talking to people about other people, I don't like that. That doesn't sound right. Doesn't sound good. And a lot of times we don't mean to plan evil, but there's something about us that tends to do that. David is crying out for help. And he says, hey, people are speaking friendly to me, but they're devising some schemes against me. Give them the punishment that they so richly deserve, measured out in proportion to their wickedness. Pay them back for all their evil deeds. Give them a taste of what they have done to others. Ooh, what we have done to others. What have I done to others? Those are things that are really tough for us to think about, right? But I need to give God that. God, what have I done to others? That have hurt them. And sometimes we can dwell on what people have done to us to hurt us. And again, that can create a real animosity in the heart, even a resentment that we need to instead take to God and bring to God in those private places and talk to. But not so much get with so many other people. David says, hey, pay them back. Hey, he's talking to God. God, pay them back for their stuff, right? They care nothing for what the Lord has done or for what his hands have made. So he will tear them down and they will never be rebuilt. Wow. God's obviously able to judge, and David believes that, so he tends to go to God in these worship songs and share it with God. Now, it's interesting that these are worship songs, right? You really get the idea that worshiping God is really coming to him and bringing your heart, bringing your mess too. Praise the Lord, for he has heard my cry for mercy. The Lord is my strength and shield. I trust him with all my heart. Strength, shield. Again, where do I go to? When I feel discouraged, when someone says something to me that is, discouraging, it's not very uplifting, but instead it puts doubt, or it's like a poisonous bitterness that's seeping in, what do? I need to go to God and talk to God about it. Bring my heart before God. He is my shield. He is my strength. Right? A lot of times living in fear creates bitterness and resentment and all that stuff in our hearts. We need to go to God. David's definitely teaching us that. He helps me when my heart is filled with joy. I burst out in song of thanksgiving. Oh man, he starts thinking about the Lord though, and he goes, man, I just overflowed with joy in his heart. Isn't that cool? When we get caught up in all the riffraff, all of a sudden we look upward, right? The Psalms are upward. And we look up and we can experience that joy once again in our life. But right when we get our eyes off of, Jesus, we tend to what? We tend to sink, right? Fear tends to creep up in us. We tend to be like Peter on the sea and just falling into the water when we get our eyes off of the Lord. Save your people, bless Israel. It says the Lord gives strength. This is verse 8. The Lord gives his people strength. He is a safe fortress for his anointed king. The idea of anointed king or Messiah, very cool. Save your people, bless Israel, your special possession. Lead them like a shepherd and carry them in your arms forever. Oh, that's a beautiful picture, right? God carrying us in his arms. Very cool. Again, the idea of me and God, my relationship with God. I'm to walk by faith in God's ability to judge, faith in God's ability to take care of people, faith in God's ability to this. So what's my role? To build people up, to lift them up, to encourage them, to see things through the lens of faith, God's got a purpose. He's got a plan. He's working through people. I have to trust that. Those kind of things. And so sometimes our enemies can be people that are very close to us. And that's the difficult part, right? Is sometimes our enemies, we don't think of them as enemies because they're, part of us, maybe part of our families or things like that. And, and so they're, we tend to think, oh, that's my buddy. I know growing up, you always think like your friends or, everything to you. And it's hard to think of them as an enemy in a way. Like maybe they don't have your best interest in mind, and you don't know if, and that might be true. It might not be true. But a lot of times we don't even want to think that way, like, gosh, yeah, maybe they don't have my best interest in mind. I think a lot of teenagers come to a place in their life where they start sometimes thinking about that. do my parents really care about me? And that becomes a really big moment in their life. Are their parents really for them? And everybody thinks about it, but it can be very difficult to go in that direction and be like, and really follow through to conclusions. And so that's Psalm 28. It's a cry for help. It's a trust in God. It helps us to understand that when there is conflict, to be able to go to God and to be able to, really share with God the things that are in our heart. Again, it's a cry for mercy, knowing that God, gosh, man, sometimes we don't feel like we're hearing from God, like God has turned that deaf ear towards us. But King David continues to think about God and dwell about God and look upward, even when it seems like, again, things aren't going very well practically in life. So chapter 29 says, honor the Lord, you heavenly beings. Honor the Lord for his glory and strength. Oh, man, shine God, right? Honor the Lord so that God is seen as awesome. Whoa. Honor the Lord for the glory of his name. Worship the Lord in the splendor of holiness, right? The splendor of something unique, a unique relationship, a holy relationship, a special relationship. So a real cry to honor the Lord, right? To worship him, to bow before him, right? To give him honor. That's the idea. The reverence that's due the Lord. Do I do that? Am I doing that today? Do I give God the honor that's due him, the reverence that's due him? And it says, the voice of the Lord echoes above the sea. The God of glory thunders. The Lord thunders over the mighty sea. The voice of the Lord is powerful. The voice of the Lord is majestic. Kind of that scary sea, right? That ocean that's scary. The thunder is the tempest and, equating to the power of God. The voice of the Lord splits the mighty cedars. The Lord shatters the cedars of Lebanon. He makes Lebanon's mountains skip like a calf. He makes Mount Hermon leap like a young wild ox. Things that seem stable are so undone, are so, in a sense, not so foundation, not so secure when it comes to the Lord. The Lord can split the cedar. He can take care, move the mountain. He can do all these kind of things. You get the idea that David is just in awe of the vastness of God. The voice of the Lord strikes with bolts of lightning. The voice of the Lord makes the barren wilderness quake. The Lord shakes the wilderness of Kadesh. The voice of the Lord twists mighty oaks and strips the fortress bare. In his temple everyone shouts, glory. So we see that these words, glory, worship, honor, are all used in Christianity, but they're very popular worship words that are used throughout the Psalms. And so we see that, hey, it's good to know kind of what they are, right? And so this idea of glory is always talked about, right? The Lord of glory. He's splendorous. He's amazing. He's holy. He's awesome. He's special. He's graceful. He's beautiful. The best ever, the choicest, the greatest, all these things are talked about when it's talking about God. Super different from anything, anybody, and ultimately unique. And so everybody shouts glory. And glory, again, just means all those words I'm talking about, all that value word, right? Beautiful, awesome, all those things like that. So when something's glorious, man, I find that awesome. It's glorious, and it's in us. It exudes from us, right? We love to value the glorious, the special. When someone hits a last-second shot in basketball, what do? We jump up. When someone scores the winning touchdown, we jump up. When we're excited about something, we tend to it moves us, right? It moves us to action, to do something, to praise, right? To worship, to literally raise our hands. Oh my God, that was amazing. We give glory to something, right? You might not even believe in God, but yet you give glory to things all the time. You can't get out of the box, man. You've been made to worship no matter what. And I knew this even as a secular atheist. We worshiped all the time. We worshiped our bands. We worshiped DJs. We worshiped. It moved us. It moved us to dance. It moved us to, go to concerts, to get in mosh pits, to stage dive. It moved us in so many ways. The way we dressed, the way we did our hair, the way we pierced our stuff, the way, whatever it was, our tattoos, whatever it is you got going on, we worshipped. We loved it. We bowed to it. It was unique. It was special. It was awesome. It was the best. It was greatest. All these things. And so even us secular atheists ended up becoming worshipers. Lo and behold, right? Little did we know that we were in the box as well, meaning we couldn't get out of this box of being worshipers. We are worshipers. We've been created to worship. And this is what Psalm 29 is all about. We've been made to be worshipers in awe of the amazing. People worship the creation. They worship the trees. They worship the thunder. This is not what David's doing, by the way. He's not worshiping the thunder or the clouds or the tempest or the sea. He is just using those natural phenomena as a type, as a picture of the awesomeness of God. God is greater than these things in the psalm. But David uses the natural to point us to these, the ultimate reality of a huge God, a creator God. So very, very, very cool. And he ends in verse 10 by saying, the Lord rules over the flood waters. The Lord reigns as king forever. The Lord gives his people strength. The Lord blesses them with peace. Some promises of God, I guess, some blessings of God, right? When God reigns, and this is the future hope of King David always, is the reigning king. That, it might not look like in King David's day the Lord was reigning. He saw a mess. He saw an absolute mess in his life as far as kingdoms and kings. But notice in the worship psalms, he always is saying, hey, the Lord reigns, king is supreme. See, faith is always looking to what God says about things, not so much what you think. Oh, I'm fearful. I don't know. Hey, are you going to be able to make it? Are you going to be able to make it? I don't know if you're going to be able to make it. I'm scared. Faith says God is able to make you stand. Faith says God is doing a work. Faith says, hey, let's trust in what God's going to do in that person's life. See, that's how faith works. It's trusting in God and God's ability and his kingship over the world and over us as people. So when the enemies come against David, David goes to God and says, God, you are the king. You are the one who can do whatever you need to do. You can take care of them. I bring my heart, I bring my junk before you. I'm laying my petitions at your feet, and you do amazing things, And so that is the life of faith, trusting God's kingship and his ability to bring in his kingdom. Very cool, and I love that. King and kingdom, am I trusting that? Or am I listening to others? Ooh, big thoughts there this morning. So I hope you guys kind of got that. Paula says, good morning, Bo and Devo peeps. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. You too, Paula. You have a good one. And Tina, I just want to thank you again for all your help. And you guys have a great weekend. Okay, tonight at 6:30 at CCF, we are having a movie night. Come check it out. It should be very cool. So we'll talk to you later, okay? Bye-bye.